the actual unit of perception we're using to value assets, the dollar, is being diminished. The problem is you end up trusting the custodian. So you put all your gold on deposit with a custodian that then issues the paper that's redeemable for the gold. No one would ever voluntarily hold a fiat currency. Why would you ever choose to hold the money that someone can arbitrarily diminish? I don't think you should feel bad not understanding it at the outset. I actually have argued in some of my writing that it's a euphemism. You know, the idea of economic inflation sounds wonderful. You want your house to become more valuable. You want your portfolio to appreciate. You want things in general to go up in dollar value. How they actually do that, though, is very important. You want them to be value producing assets. Inflation, though, and this is a word that really gets twisted because it's got a lot of different meanings. Do you mean price inflation? Do you mean inflation of the money supply? And the way when I use the term inflation, I like to refer specifically to arbitrary increases in the supply of fiat currency. So what's happening in that instance is that the actual unit of perception we're using to value assets, the dollar, is being diminished. Fiat currency, the word fiat means by decree. So this pretty much means because I said so under the veiled threat of force. Right. And yeah, it is, you know, this gets a little bit deeper into the history of money, but the dollar originally was issued to make gold, which was money selected by the free market, more convenient, to make it more portable, make it more transactable. Very difficult for us to settle in physical gold at every transaction, right? So if you abstract that gold into paper, it makes it much more convenient. Let me answer the fiat piece and then I'll go back to the gold. So we abstract gold into paper to make it more transactable, more convenient, faster, and more portable, frankly, which is one of the properties of money we'll get into about gold. The problem is you end up trusting the custodian. So you put all your gold on deposit with a custodian that then issues the paper that's redeemable for the gold. And over time, this becomes the most alluring source of power for governments or anyone that can command force. They want to control that source of economic power because it's a call option on everything, which is one of the definitions of money, by the way. So you go from a full reserve currency where each dollar is redeemable for 1 unit of gold to fractional reserve banking, where there's an excess of paper beyond what the gold reserves can justify themselves, to post 1971 as fiat currency, where it is not redeemable for gold whatsoever. So one answer for what is fiat currency, it is an irredeemable government debt certificate undergoing slow motion default via inflation while its use is forced on all of us, on free economic actors. No one would ever voluntarily hold a fiat currency. Why would you ever choose to hold the money that someone can arbitrarily diminish? So we're all prone to seek out cognitive expedience. And I would say even the dollar itself, you don't want dollars per se. You don't want a definite amount of dollars. You want purchasing power. As a matter of cognitive expedience, you think in terms of dollars instead. And this is where you get deeper into what is money. Money is also a psychotechnology. It's like literacy or numeracy. It's a software implementation we put into our brain. We use it to communicate, negotiate, plan. I mean, how many times a day do you think in dollars? It's something that's deeply embedded in our cognitive machinery. And that gets into my argument later about why central banking is kind of a computer virus on the human brain. But I think what would be an appropriate avenue here is to think, okay, you've been pursuing dollars your whole life. What you're actually pursuing is what those dollars can get you. That's what money is, right? Money is the most exchangeable good. You can think of it as a call option on anything the market can produce. So any good, any service, any knowledge, human time, anything people can do, any service anyone can render for you. Money is a call option on that. And that's why it's the most valuable or apex good in a marketplace. So what it ultimately means is that money is the most important form of property. So what we're all really after, all of our businesses, our lifestyles, our governments, These are property strategies, if you will. These are ways to reach consensus on property, to distribute property in an equitable way, in a way that we all determine to be fair, right? Fair and equitable. So it will probably help here we're setting up a lot of rabbit holes. We'll go into the property rabbit hole first. We typically think property is the house, the car, the stock, whatever. That's not what property is. Property is a relationship. It's an exclusively acknowledged relationship between the owner and the asset, right? The fact that you own this house and no one else can come into it. If they did, you have recourse to the government, right? The apparatus of compulsion and coercion. You can call the police force and say, hey, this guy is violating my property. Please remove him. That is the foundation of civilization. When we can go and take our most personal form of property, which is ourselves, right? And this is something we're talking offline, self-ownership. This is the foundational axiom on which all of this libertarian capitalistic philosophy is based. You own yourself. Only you can move your arm. Only you can move your leg, right? You can't even sell that property. You can't trade away your consciousness or your willpower to anyone else. You own it and it's inalienable, cannot be traded away. What you choose to do with that self-ownership, you go out into the world and you voluntarily add value to something, right? You plant a garden, you build a business, or you trade the fruits of your labor with other self-owned people. That's how we create wealth, right? That's what enables us to focus, specialize, and create wealth. So the basis of civilization is that relationship between the owner and their asset, which we call property. Money is just a reflection of the wealth in the world, right? The property that we have created through this capitalistic process. When you give one organization, right, this is all based on free market dynamics, but when you give one organization legal monopoly privileges, which is what the central bank is, to now monopolize money and control its issuance, they have a mechanism to violate the property rights of all other economic actors that are using dollars, that are denominating assets in dollars. So this is something that's so fundamental that it contradicts the premise of self-ownership when we give power away to a single institution that can arbitrarily, at a political whim, choose to violate the relationships of all economic actors using that money.